Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into a really interesting idea from the source material you shared. It's from 101 essays that will change the way you think.
That's the one.
And we're looking at this concept of non-resistance, specifically how it's often confused with just being passive, a doormat, basically.
Right. That's a common trip up. The essay argues it's meant to be much more dynamic.
So our plan for this deep dive is to unpack that, clear up some of those, misunderstandings the text points out.
And really get a feel for how it's supposed to be practiced according to this particular source.
Yeah.
What I found really striking is the point about concepts like Zen, that emphasize non-resistance. When they came west,
Wow.
well, some of the, let's say, the finer points kind of got lost in translation.
How so?
Well, the core ideas were meant for an active life, right? But we tend to filter them through our own default, our ego's perspective, without maybe realizing it.
Ah, okay. And that filtering, that's what leads to the mix-ups about non-resistance itself.
That's what the source suggests. Yeah.
It mentions the common view, consciously letting go of expectations, attachments. That's pretty standard in philosophies like Taoism, right? Seeing that as the root of suffering.
Absolutely. That part's generally understood. But the misunderstanding the text argues happens because we don't fully grasp the depth.
So we mistake it for
a kind of total ego wipeout, like giving up all control, all agency.
Right, the idea becomes just let whatever happens happen, even if it's, harmful or difficult.
Exactly. And that's where you get the stereotype, that spiritual practice means being passive, maybe even enabling bad situations.
Okay. But the text really pushes back against that notion.
Oh, definitely. Hard.
It clarifies that non-resistance, properly understood, is actually practice of discerning action.
Precisely. It's about finding that balance, knowing what you can influence versus the bigger things, the circumstances you just can't control.
There's no fighting City Hall sometimes.
Sort of, yeah. And the source uses a great metaphor. It's not about dropping the oars and drifting aimlessly.
No.
No, it's like steering your boat with the current, not trying to row like mad directly against a really strong tide. That's just futile.
So it's not about zero effort. It's about using your effort, your control, but wisely.
Much more wisely, smarter, in tune with how things actually are.
And this connects to how the source talks about the ego, which I thought was quite unexpected.
Yeah, how so?
Well, often, especially in sort of Western pop spirituality, the ego is the villain, right? Something to be crushed or overcome.
That's a very common take.
But this text frames it differently.
It does. It suggests the ego actually serves a vital purpose, a crucial one even.
So non-resistance isn't about killing the ego.
Not according to this source, no. It's more about recognizing the ego's job, understanding its purpose, and then surrendering to the reality it helps you see.
Instead of surrendering to what? Fear? Impulse?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or just not being aware, blindly reacting.
Okay, so putting it together.
Yeah.
The practice isn't this blanket, whatever happens, passivity.
Not at all. It's active. It's discerning. It's about how you engage with life. The key insight seems to be recognizing that the current life, reality, circumstances
That larger flow.
is ultimately stronger than your individual will just pushing against it all the time.
Right. You can wear yourself out fighting battles you fundamentally cannot win. That's one option.
Or
you learn to navigate within that bigger force. You choose carefully when to push, how to apply your effort effectively.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, this source really challenges us to rethink non-resistance. It's not about being a doormat. It's not passive surrender. It's more like intelligent effort, aligning yourself with that powerful current of life.
And crucially, remembering the ego's role in this, according to the text. It has a purpose. The surrender is more about accepting that purpose in reality.
Rather than just acting out of fear or ignorance.
Well put. Yes.
Which kind of leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought to chew on. If that current really is more powerful, how do you actually figure out moment to moment?
When it's smart to exert your control, to put in the effort, versus when you need to, trust that larger flow.
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
And given what this text says about the ego's crucial purpose, what part does your ego play in helping you make that very distinction? Something to consider.